All right, I think we're back. So I will just start going over the rules of this card game. So I have the card game here. You can see it is called Cluster, and I will mention that it is informally called Clusterfuck. I did want to keep it somewhat uh, child friendly in case it does go on the internet and is broadcasted to a larger audience. So basically, the skeleton of this game is Texas Hold'em. So if you look at the base of it, it is just Texas Hold'em, and so that means that you go around, you bet, the dealing of cards is all the same as Texas Hold'em, um, barring a few minor differences, but they are simply add-ons. Nothing from Texas Hold'em is removed. So that, in in a sense, you could just play Texas Hold'em, and you would technically also be playing this game. But I'll get to the technicalities in a second. So there are the reason it is called Cluster is because there are 25 extra rules, and these rules are either rules I made up or rules that were borrowed from other games. And so I have thrown together this list of rules to make a dynamic rules list, and that kind of gives a new edge to Texas Hold'em because Texas Hold'em can get a little uh, I want to say drab. It gets boring sometimes if you're not playing with the right people. So this kind of gets people out of their shell and forces people to keep focus on all of the different things that are going on. So I'll start. There are four passive rules, and what I mean by passive rules, actually, I'll talk about the categories first. So the rules fall into three different categories. There are passive rules, there are active rules, and there are optional rules. So the passive rules are that are the rules that you have to do no matter what. They happen on their own. So these are the ones that set the game apart from Texas Hold'em because you have to do these if you're playing this version of the game. So the first one is consolation. So the consolation rule, it says that if a player folded but they would have won the hand, the winner of the hand has to tip them, and that can be any chip they so desire. Um, it's just every time you play poker and you fold X, and you fold, and then everybody else has a crap hand. It's a bad feeling. So I wanted them to get a little bit of a little um, boost, even though they've lost out on an opportunity. Um, the second the second passive rule is called Destiny Bond, which I'm actually going to hold out on explaining that for a bit because I want to. It requires an explanation uh, from a different rule in the active in the action rules, and then the same goes for Funeral Procession. It relates to a different rule later, so I'm going to wait. And then the fourth passive rule is the third wheel, which is when everybody except for you has a pair, which could be like two twos, two threes, two fours. So what you do when everyone has a pair, but you didn't, the winner has to tip you. So um, this is just something that I wanted to throw in because it sounded funny. Um, so it's kind of almost rubbing it in their face that they didn't have a pair. Um, so then we get into the action rules, and I don't know if I'm going to go over all of the action rules. I might just sort of give some highlights, just because if you are interested in the game, I want you to go read it for yourself. But if you aren't interested, I don't want to take up your time. So the big ones are alliances, and alliance is something that relates to Destiny Bond. So I'll explain alliance first. An alliance is when you can negotiate with another player across the table or next to you or something and say, hey, do you want to form an alliance? And if they accept, at the end of the hand, you choose the best combination of five cards from your hand, their hand, and the pot on or the cards on the table. Now, the kicker on this is that you don't ever get to know what the other person's hand is until until the end of the round. So this is kind of just like it's kind of like playing your odds so that you have a better chance of collectively winning the pot. And by collectively winning, I mean that if one of you wins, both of you win, so you have to split the pot amongst you. So that's the alliance rule. Now, Destiny Bond is when there's a couple. It's rare, but in poker, there's many situations where people will have the exact same hand, and they have to split the pot. And so what I did in the passive rules is I made it so that those people are forced into an alliance for the next hand. So no matter what, they have to split the pot again. This is just something that kind of it's just kind of like a luck of the draw thing. So if it could help them out, but at the same time, if someone has a really good hand, then they got screwed over a little bit. But that's just something to add a new luck factor to it. So then there are a bunch of rules from other card games. Like I said, there's blackjack. If you have a pair, pocket pair, you can split them and start taking hits. And if you bust 21, you lose those cards. But if you stay under 21, then you can keep all of those cards and use them to get your best 5. There's a rule from spoons. So the card game Spoons, when you get 4 of a kind, there's a spoon on the table, you can grab it, you immediately get whatever's in the pot, and the round is over. Then I added in a rule from Rummy, and this rule from Rummy is that if you see that someone else won, but that person doesn't realize that they have a better hand, you can call Rummy and you get the pot. So this you can do that even if you're folded. So if you're just looking at everyone's hands and someone says, "Oh, that person has a better pair than me, they won," but it turns out that the person that said that has a straight, you could say, "Rummy, you have a straight, point it out. If you're correct, you get the pot." There's also Sandwich, which is from Egyptian Rat Race or Egyptian Rat Screw or Slaps, whatever you call it. This is when there's maybe like a 6-5-6, so it's a combination. But this is when it's on the flop. So the flop is the first 3 cards after the first round of betting. So if the flop is in the order of a sandwich, if you slap it, you're the only person that gets the benefit of that pair. So if let's say it was a 6-5-6, then you're the only person that can use the 2 6s as a pair, and and so nobody else can use them as a pair. Now they can use them in a straight or a flush if they need be. So then there's spoons, like I said, and then Uno. Uno doesn't necessarily have to do with Uno the card game as much. It just kind of played in. It made sense to call it that. What you can do is you can fold all of the cards in your hand except for one if you think that one is going to win you the hand. And what the benefit of doing so is that you only have to pay half of the bets anyone else bets, or if you bet something, everybody else has to pay double, unless they Uno as well, and then it evens out. And then 99. So it's the card game 99. If you don't know the card game 99, it's very fast paced. It's kind of bizarre, but it basically is you're putting cards down and you add up the face value to this hypothetical value of the discard pile. And if you're the person that puts that value over 99, you lose. But there's some special cards, and the special cards are what's significant for this. Is that so the special cards are a king, a 4, a 9, a 10, and an ace, but the ace is irrelevant in this case. So what the 4 does is is it doesn't count for value and it reverses the order. So let's say you're at 99 and you play a 4, then if it was going clockwise, it goes counterclockwise. If you play a 9, it doesn't affect the rotation, but it's basically skipping you, so it has no value. A 10 can subtract 10 if you so choose. It can also add 10, but in this case, you wouldn't want to add 10. I'll explain that, because the way that you enact this rule is if you have a king in your hand, you can call 99 and place it face up for everyone to see, and the person to your left must continue the game of 99 with what's in their hand. So they can use a 4 to send it back to you. They can use a 9 to move it on. They can use another king to just put it back to 99, which is something you can do in the game of 99. And you can use a 10 to bring it down to 89, and I made that the stopping criteria. So either someone loses or someone plays a 10 and brings it down to 89, which makes the game of 99 void for the time being until someone else plays a king. So, but what happens if someone loses is that they fold. Also, there's a game I forgot at the start, is BS, the card game. So that's, and the way I implemented it into this game is at the end of the hand, you can simply claim to have something, and if everyone believes you, you get the hand. But if someone calls you for BSing, then one, you must show your cards, and if you were actually BSing, then you have to pay the largest bet of that hand. So let's say there was one really large bet in that hand, then you have to pay that. So that goes to the true winner. So it's a little difficult to work around, but if you get the game moving fast enough, that could work in your favor. And then the last one I want to talk about in the action rules is the super hand. And the super hand is something that is slightly added on to the Texas Hold'em. So in Texas Hold'em, you normally only get 2 cards when you and I'm playing. I said in the start of the rules that I just made it so that you ante in before you get your cards, as opposed to having a blind system. It just makes the game a little bit simpler because of all the other complexities. I wanted to add that aspect of simplicity. But when you ante, if you pay the largest chip that you have available, so not necessarily your largest chip, but like the largest chip that you started with. So if you had 4 chips, then it's the fourth one, the largest one. Then you can get 5 cards at the start of that hand. So you just get a little bit of an edge, but then you're risking more money because the 4th chip is significantly larger than the chip you would normally ante with, the smallest chip. So those are the highlights of the action rules. There are many more. Like I said, there's 25 different rules, but there's 3 final ones, and these are the optional rules, so you don't have to play with these. This is the drinking game, the strip game, and a third one that's just added in for fun. The drinking game is whenever someone says, "Wait, what?" they have to take a shot. So if you're getting people really confused, you can interpret that rule a little bit more with some gray area. So whenever someone says something that shows that they're confused by a rule or something like that, then they have to take a shot. I said that this would soothe their confusion. The fun rule that I just added in is called Kiss the Ring, and it's somewhat like how in Catan, the board game, if you win, then you are proclaimed Lord of Catan. This rule shows that when the winner wins, all of the other players that played have to write that person a note complimenting their intelligence. And then the final rule, the strip game, is that if you lose at any particular card game in the rule set, or in a 1v1, which is explained in the rules, then you have to remove an article of clothing. And there's also another one where if you take a loan and you don't pay them back in a certain amount of time and they're trying to foreclose on you, then you can throw clothes at them so you can remove an article of clothing and avoid that foreclosure for one hand. So that's the general overview of my card game. If anyone is interested, I will either send this to you personally, or I can upload it somehow on the internet and post a link to it. So I am pretty excited about that, and I will be trying to play that with my friends a lot more. I'm probably not going to participate in any of the optional rules other than Kiss the Ring, but for now at least. And then, but that I put that in there because they seemed fun. So that is the general overview of my card game. I'm going to play a short ad, and we'll get into the main topic of today, which is big data. So I'll be right back.